Lonzo Ball has been cleared to return to 5-on-5, but does that mean his return to the court is really closer? Me and Pat are going to talk about that and what that could mean for the Bulls' new starting point guard in Josh Giddey. All that and more right after this.
You are Locked On Bulls, your daily Chicago Bulls podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for tuning in to the Locked On Bulls, member of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every single day. That's Pat the Designer, host and creator of the Windy City Breeze, and host of the Chicago Bears podcast over at ESPN 1000. I'm Haize, host and creator of Chicago Bulls Central, Chicago Bears Central YouTube pages and podcast. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. As the playoffs wind down, the sports stop sporting like we want them to. But this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Talking about getting started, Pat. Lonzo Ball may be getting started to get back to his NBA court sooner rather than later. He's been cleared for.
It took way too long.
Yeah, it did take a long time. But clear for 5-on-5 officially. Now, this does not mean 5-on-5 as far as returning to NBA. This does not even mean that he's clear for training camp. This is just the next phase of his rehab. In that same release, it said that he's going to he's going to spend a couple of weeks going through 5-on-5, that he will then go through rigorous testing before he's eventually, hopefully, cleared to return to NBA basketball. But the thing that was good about this is that in this, it said that he started off with 1-on-1, then he went to 2-on-2, then 5-on-5, and so far there's been not one setback for Lonzo Ball, which is not what we've heard. Any other time he's tried to start ramping up, there's been setbacks. How you feeling, Pat?
I mean, listen, you hope for the best. You know what I mean? You hope that it's finally going to be the winning side of this story. You hope that he's going to be able to continue to ramp up and move in the right direction. I mean, is this the farthest we've come in this rehab to this point?
Yes, this is the farthest Lonzo Ball has made it up.
So, I mean, like when you look at the details of the history of what the rehab has been, and now, and I think here's the part that I guess maybe gives you a little bit of hope if you're a Bulls fan right now, although I'm not sitting here putting any expectations or anything on that. When you look at that, it seemed like for a year, and this is kind of what Lonzo said about it, we were basically looking in the wrong direction. And now once they figured out what the main issue is, and it seems like the real issue, you've seen him get the furthest in his rehab. You can feel a little bit better about that maybe, the 5-on-5 is actually going to work. Maybe you're actually going to start to see him continue to move in the right direction. At this point, you're basing everything with Lonzo Ball off of hope. I'm not sitting here saying one way or the other that I think that Lonzo Ball is going to be a major part of this team. Do I think that Lonzo Ball could be a contributor to this team? Sure. Hopefully he ends up getting cleared for training camp. Hopefully he continues to move in the right direction. But the fact that we're at the 5-on-5 stage right now, I'm excited about that part of it in this moment. Long term, you can't look at Lonzo Ball long term. He may not be on the court long term. So for the moment, cool story, bro.
Yeah, I mean, it's great that he's made it up into this part like that. Let's just keep this in perspective. It's great that this is the point that he was able to make it to, because it's been almost 3 years since he's been able to make it this far. And so the no setbacks is the thing that spoke the most to me. Now, for those that were, even though there's a small vocal part of the community that's still holding out some hope, Stacey King fanned those flames a little bit. They in this release, they did reiterate that the Bulls are still all in on Josh Giddey as the primary ball handler since the moment they acquired him from Alex Caruso. And later on in this, it does say that if Lonzo Ball is cleared, they view him as a backup to Josh Giddey, which makes the most sense. We shouldn't have to say this, but we got to, Pat.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I love Stace. I said this the first time. Y'all know that I'm a huge fan of Stacey's. We've had him on the show. We love the conversations we've had back and forth with him. I think he's got a great basketball acumen. Stacey wilding a little bit on this one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it doesn't make sense for you to, and I understand, right, the veteran experience, the veteran presence, and you wanna get that guy back on the court, but like it doesn't make sense for you to hitch your wagon to a guy who, I mean, listen, like just like Larry Markkinen, that's the topic we talked about. Never mind. Just like Larry Markkinen.
You are right, though. You are right. That is the topic that we actually did talk about.
You be killing me because I be like, hey, we had another topic. You be like, we had nothing. We had one.
Well, the problem is that so for those that don't know, a peek behind the curtain. Me and Pat probably spent about 15 to 20 minutes sometimes pre-gaming before we start recording. Yeah. And in the midst of that, there's some actual basketball talk. There's some trauma from history of being Bulls fans. And then there's always some just random bit of information in there. So by the time we come back to the show, it's like, we didn't say nothing. What are you talking about?
I literally was like, we had another topic, dog. It's like, we had nothing. I was like, all right, well, I guess we had nothing. I'm tired. I can't remember. That's hilarious, bro. That's the second time we've done that this month. But I don't even remember what the point I was going towards. I just know that I brought up line marketing for some reason.
Hilarious, man.
That's why I was bringing them up. When you look at a situation, right, where you want to talk about somebody building your team around somebody who is available, we've got enough of that problems. You don't want to turn this into a Utah Jazz situation with Larry Markkinen, especially when you've already got a Zach LaVine in your lineup who you've got question marks on being there for a full season and being healthy, especially when you've got Patrick Williams in your starting lineup who you've got questions on being healthy, being there for a full season. You don't want to build your team around guys who aren't available, and it's already the situation we're in. Why would we double down with that with Lonzo Ball? It only makes sense to start Josh Giddey and to start, like, I keep saying this now, defensively he will probably never be the same, but Josh Giddey offensively is literally at the spot where Lonzo was. Actually, he may be a little bit further than where Lonzo was.
I would say yes, because he's able to do it without a 3-point shot. And this is where you have to separate the reality from kind of the hype, right? Like, Lonzo Ball's best season is basically the same as the season that everybody says Josh Giddey sucked at. I mean, that's just statistically, at least, right? Like, yeah, we know defense is a different aspect of it, right? Like, let's go to the season that Lonzo Ball had with the Bulls, the ones that he was 13-5-5 on 42% shooting.
Yeah.
That's worse than Josh Giddey's season last year.
And it never made sense. I mean, I get it. And I think that this is the tough part. Are we, as a fan base, are we too stuck in the past? Because all we ever hear is, well, he doesn't play defense. How are you going to be able to stop anybody if you don't have any defense? This guy's not going to be able to stop anybody because he doesn't have any defense. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if you've watched the NBA much lately.
The Pacers gave up 123 points per game. They scored 123. They gave up 120 points per game last season. And they still made it to the playoffs.
Made it to the ECF.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. It's like, I get it. And yes, when you look at the flaws of a team, you have to be honest. And the Bulls are going to be a flawed defensive team. Make no mistake about it. But if you're good enough offensively, which I'm not saying the Bulls are to get to the playoffs, I'm just saying that we focus so much on some of the shortcomings where some of those, like, you're not going to have a perfect team. You're not going to have a team that's great offensively and great defensively. When you look at some of the Bulls teams that were great defensively, our offense was Derrick Rose and Nate Robinson.
Yep. Now, for the championship teams, they usually do, right? The Spurs are one of the best offensive teams. They were also one of the best defensive teams. You could say the same thing about Miami when they went on their run. You could say the same thing about Golden State. Yes, they could shoot you out the gym, but their situational defense was bar none at that time.
For sure.
You know what I mean? So there are still times where you still have to have that defensive team, but like,
I get when we talking about getting, like, and see, that's the thing. We're nowhere close to being a championship contending team yet. Exactly. Like, crawl before you walk. That was the point I was going to make. Like, are we really talking, well, you can't win a title? You think this Bulls team is going to win a title anytime soon? That's the bigger part of that conversation we need to have, if that's your argument.
And I think the part is people are trying to build the sum of the parts before they have the engine.
Yeah.
You have to have the star. You have to have the main piece. Maybe you have that Modest Bucilis by some stroke of luck. Because of his shot, he falls to the Bulls. Maybe you have that in Kobe White. He's able to take that next step and he becomes your star player. Maybe Zach LaVine gets it together and the Bulls get it together and they both are able to come to an amicable agreement that allows them both to still continue to build with a piece that makes a lot of sense for Zach LaVine with Josh Giddey. But you need a star before you can do anything, before we start worrying about the reason that, and I think it's so funny too, because with Derrick Rose, it's the most recent memory of the Bulls building around a star, and we did it backwards. We had the team already.
Yeah, we had we got lucky.
You had
the team.
Yeah, you had to find certain pieces, right? You end up adding Taj Gibson. You go out and get Jimmy Butler as well. But for the most part, like, you had the team ready to go, and Derrick Rose magically appeared in your lap. That's not how the Jordan Bulls were built.
Yeah.
The Bulls found Jordan. Yeah. And then they were like, oh, this guy's
got the
freaking
butt
good
by the Pistons a few times, and it was like, hey, yeah.
Maybe we should build around this guy. So, like, it's just I think we saw it backwards, so now we kind of need to see it the other way around, even though AK kind of built the Denver Nuggets the same way, a little bit better.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, a lot of teams kind of do it a little backwards now. But with that said, next up, we're going to be talking about Zach LaVine and where he ranks as far as all shooting guards in the league right now, according to HoopsHype at least. But before we get into that, we got to talk to you guys about a message from one of our sponsors, and that is BetterHelp.
Knew we had a middle topic.
The show is sponsored by BetterHelp.
Need some BetterHelp.
When your schedule is packed with kids, activities, big work projects, and more, it's easy to let the priorities slip. Even when we know what makes us happy, it's hard to make time for it. But when you feel like you have no time for yourself, non-negotiables like therapy are more important than ever. If you're thinking about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out the brief questionnaire to get matched with the licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime at no additional charge. You guys know me and Pat have been telling you guys since we've been promoting BetterHelp. We are big advocates of mental health, so make sure you guys go out there. And it's just like you go to get a checkup before something's wrong. It doesn't mean anything's wrong with you. Go out and talk to the therapist. It's just doing a tune-up. Go get a tune-up. Never skip therapy day with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA.
Let's go, Bulls!
All right, Pat. With that said, man, HoopsHype has been releasing their list position by position. I think we talked about Kobe White and Josh Giddey being ranked at 21 and 22 respectively on the point guard list. The shooting guard list came out today, and Zach LaVine has actually a really good ranking on this. He's ranked at the 7th best shooting guard in the NBA. When you look at the players below him, Austin Reeves at number 8, Jalen Green at number 9, Tyler Hero at number 10. And then if you look at some of the players above Zach LaVine, you have Desmond Bane at number 6 and Jalen Williams at number 5. Jalen Williams is top 5 shooting guard in the league right now. How you feel about the list? How you feel about Zach LaVine's placement on that list, Pat?
Doesn't this list feel like shooting guards don't really exist anymore?
Why so?
I just feel like a lot of the guys that we would think of as like the top shooting guards in the NBA, because what's the top 5 right on that list?
Ant Edwards is number 1,
right?
Devin Booker number 2, right. Donovan Mitchell number 3,
right?
Jaylen Brown number 4, and Jalen Williams number 5.
See, like, I get it. Donovan Mitchell is a shooting guard, but like, kind of not really. Like, it just feels like shooting guard has gotten very muddled, or the shooting guards have become basically tall shooting guards that also double as small forwards. And so there's a lot of guys on this list that, like, I don't know, like Jalen Williams top 5 shooting guard to me doesn't make sense.
I mean, listen, don't get me wrong.
Zach LaVine top 7 don't make sense to me either. I don't know.
I mean, Jalen Green, he is a shooting guard, 6'5". He is a shooting guard. I just don't know if I agree that he's made it to the top 5 already. I know some people are like 19 points per game, 4.5 assists, 4 rebounds, 1 steal per game. Had a great season, but like, I don't know. It is what it is.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not mad at it. Listen, I'm glad that Zach LaVine's in there. You know what I'm saying? But it feels wrong, especially when he missed as much of the season as he missed.
Well, they were clear. Like, let me not say they're clear. Like, HoopsHype tries to do a good job at explaining what goes.
HoopsHype is never clear.
Well, they try to at least explain. You know, so, like Bleacher Report, their list, they'll just throw names out there, and you just be like,
right.
Wait, what? But you know, HoopsHype tries to at least explain that it has nothing to do with it. They take injuries out, things like that. But then it's still like, I don't know, man. It is what it is. I agree with the top 5. Well, top 4, I agree with. Top 4, I agree with.
I mean,
after that, it gets a little weird.
Yeah, like I don't know. This list is, listen, I would love for Zach LaVine to be in that list. It's more of a reason to try and make this relationship work, I guess, when it seems like nobody wants him. But it throws me off a little bit because you're kind of in this situation where you're basically saying that Zach LaVine is a major difference maker by being in that ilk, right? Top 10 shooting guard in the league. You think he's a major difference maker on your team? I can't say that about Zach.
Well, like I said, like when you look at when Zach's healthy, there's only been 9 players to score more points in the NBA. Like he's elite. That's the way that I look at it. Like I get it, and I completely understand the way that you're viewing it. Like if you're going to be a top at your position, then you should elevate your team. But there's something also about like your personal performance, and so I guess I can understand it to a degree. Like by what Zach's able to do scoring wise, he is elite at that. But at the same time, it's like. It's not fair to call it empty calories because it's not. That's not what it is. Calories. But it's somewhere between empty calories, but not quite yet at elevating your team either. It's like Zach's in this weird limbo when it comes down to the way that he produces sometimes.
Yeah, because the funny thing about it too is even looking at some of the guys behind him, like I guess age-wise, I'd rather have Zach LaVine, but like play-wise, I'd rather have CJ McCollum, and he's 11 now. Yeah, I mean, Bradley Beal, play-wise. Give me Brad Beal over Zach LaVine now.
And that's where it comes down to, I think, because to me, I wouldn't take CJ McCollum over Zach LaVine. I'd take Zach LaVine in the situation that CJ McCollum's in. I think you see a great Zach LaVine if you got a Brandon Ingram, a healthy Zion Williams, and then also Herb Jones there as a defender on the wing. I think that Zach would look amazing in a situation like that. So that's also something that you have to look at with this is like the situation that those players in and how if it helps maximize them to a degree. Like we've talked about it. Zach LaVine is your 3rd best player. You better be a championship contender. Bradley Beal, I can see why you'd rather have him, but like Zach next to KD, I think Zach could kill it at that point.
I think that you would kind of get the same product, and they asked Bradley Beal to be the point guard.
Well, true. Like,
you know what I mean? Like, I think you would get a similar. Now, if Devin Booker was also, if Devin Booker played a ton of point guard duties there as well. If D Book is the point and you get Zach next to that, maybe. Like, I don't know. This is one of those lists that it's like, I don't think it changes my opinion of Zach LaVine. I would argue that there are some people over him that are on this list, but at the end of the day, you're still talking about him being in that top 10 range, and that's not a bad place for him to be. I do think that you kind of look at, I guess that what this, because as I'm going through this list, like what this list is saying is that there's just not a lot of difference makers at shooting guard in the NBA. To me, like
that's how you take that.
Jalen Williams 5, I get that. Desmond Bane,
when he's healthy, Desmond Bane does make a difference.
He's a baller.
Yeah, when they're all healthy. I think that's the thing. With the Memphis Grizzlies, it comes down to that team is fit so well together that if you take any piece out that cog, it exposes. Like the only one that I would put on any situation, say they'll still be them, is Ja when he's healthy.
Yeah.
Everybody else on that team, if you put them in any situation, I don't think they're as productive as what they are when that whole team's healthy.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a weird situation. Can we also talk about the fact that as you scroll through this list, if you guys are looking at the list on HoopsHype, it's literally a bunch of dudes being guarded by Alex Caruso, and then Alex Caruso comes in 25th.
Yeah.
That was like my favorite thing about this list. I'm not gonna lie. It's just like all of these shooting guards that didn't get buckets.
What do you think about Devin Vassell being all the way ranked at 13th? I know me and you were both very high on Devin Vassell.
I think that that makes sense. Like, I don't know how the heck Pop was coaching these guys last year. I'm not gonna lie to
True.
you.
But to me, like Devin Vassell is one of the few like having Tyler Hero over Devin Vassell to me, when Devin Vassell is actually a two-way player and Tyler Hero averages like 1.5 points more than him, is like.
But I think are you taking into account playoff success and lack thereof with Devin Vassell? Yeah, I mean, like Devin Vassell ain't been. He's barely been out of San Antonio.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's a great point.
Like, I think that's the only thing I could be thinking of. I don't really know, how they're going about this, but I don't know. It feels wrong. Let us know. Do you think Zach LaVine is the top 10 shooting guard in the NBA? I'd give him top 10. I'd give him top 10. 7 feels weird. There's some names I'd put above him. Before we get into this final topic, where we got to talk about the Chicago Bulls getting a feature on Hard Knocks. Hey, yo. Got to tell you about a word from our sponsors. Got to tell you guys all about FanDuel. Listen, I love sports. I love them so much. I never want them to stop. But as the playoffs wind down, we get fewer games, and the sports aren't sportsing like I want them to. But FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want. All I have to do is open the app and dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. Ayo. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. So head over to FanDuel.com and start making the most out of your summer. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball.
All right, Pat, before we get up out of here, man, we had an unexpected Bulls appearance in a way on Hard Knocks Bears. And talking about Caleb Williams and the excitement that he's bringing to the city of Chicago, they reference that he has the chance to do something that hasn't been done since Michael Jordan, which is a fine reference. But then the Alan Parsons Project starts playing, and then they have the Bulls announcer out there announcing Caleb. Like, it was, bro, cinematically, like that moment was so great. Like it was so crazy to see people were like, "Oh, you shouldn't have done that. Why are you playing the Bulls music here?" Like, it was just like, hey. As like a narrative thing, that was dope as hell. Now, the pressure, if that's even putting pressure, but how do you take? Because as you pointed out to me, the Bears have to sign off on that. How you feeling about it?
Yeah. So for the people that don't know, the Bears watch all of this. So anything that goes through, they have the approval or veto power over. Now there's, I mean, like if it gets a little too, no, we're not putting nothing in, they're still gonna do a show, but. This was probably something that the Bears could have said no to. And I mean, listen, I said this on the Breeze today multiple times. The pressure of that, because we know whose music it is. It's not the Bulls' music. There's one reason that this music is popular, and his name is Michael Jeffrey Jordan. And you throw that music on, and get the literal announcer to announce Caleb Williams, basically like he's coming in on into the stadium. That's putting some lofty pressure in my mind on a young quarterback, because it's not like he announced the team. It's not like he said, and the number 9 overall pick, Roma Dunes. It was just for Caleb. So that is specifically pointing at your top pick and saying, this is something that this is in the city that Jordan built, the thing that you can get to if you're great here. That's a lot of pressure to me to put on a young quarterback, because you know how fans in the city are going to be. If he struggles early in the season, you had this guy run out to Jordan music. Like, we already know what's going to happen. So, like, I love the fact that they're not ducking no smoke. I love the fact that they're like, hey, listen, we're duck nothing. We're going to take it on the chin and we're going to give it right back. But be ready for the smoke to come back your way if things don't go your way. That's really what it comes down to.
I get what you're getting at with that completely, but I really think that by the start of the regular season, nobody's even going to remember that happened.
Oh, dog, I guarantee you, by the start of the regular season, if let them find a way to lose. Let them find a way to
Let them
lose
find a
early
way to
on.
lose. That's funny.
Let them find a way to lose early on. Mugs are going to be sitting there talking about how you ran this dude out to Michael Jordan's music. Not going to be talking about Hard Knocks. They're not going to be talking about they're going to be, you trotted him out there to Jordan music, because we know the expectation that comes with that. And here's the reason, but I feel that way. Imagine if Hard Knocks was in Carolina last year and Bryce Young ran out to that music.
Well, that's just different.
It's Carolina.
True,
he's from Carolina.
But that music didn't play in Carolina. Like if they try to play it, like see that, and that's it's the situation of doing it in Chicago and referencing Michael Jordan all at the same time. Like those are like that's I think a unique thing to the city of Chicago. Like if they did run them out there in Carolina and play the Alan Parsons Project music, it's like, what are you doing? It doesn't hit the same because it's not in Chicago. At least to me, it doesn't hit the same.
I think it's going to hit even harder because people are going to be like, all right, Jordan rookie year, 28 and a half, 7 and 5. What you do? I just like, to me, I think that is here's the thing. I don't want it to come off as a bad thing. I love the fact that the Bears ain't ducking no smoke. The entire episode is literally about how are we going to fix Caleb, or how are we going to build up Caleb Williams for him to go out there and be successful? And so the Bears ain't ducking nothing. And I love that. But, when you in a fight and somebody throw a strong right, sometimes you need to duck. Like, I know we got this mindset of like, I'm not ducking nothing. That's not how boxers win. This ain't the 50s. Boxers duck.
Yeah, you cannot duck something and still get knocked the hell out, right?
Hey, you could have left Michael Jordan out of this, dog. You could have went anywhere with that, dog. You could have got Stacey King to voice this mug. I mean, like, you could have went anywhere with this. You could have got literally like a freaking, a Derrick Rose highlight.
Now, here's the thing. Here's the thing.
Caleb Williams.
Caleb Williams, I'm not saying this season, but if Caleb Williams brings a championship to Chicago at the parade, does the Alan Parsons Project play?
I don't think Jerry would allow it.
He doesn't have. I mean, they can't stop it. It's like anybody can license the song. The Bulls don't own that song. The song was out.
Can you license like the? I guess you can. HBO probably had to for this. Yeah. I was gonna say, can you license like that specific? How they did the starting lineup you did. I guess you could just play the music.
Yeah, I'm just saying play the music. I'm not necessarily saying that
play the music.
All right.
I wouldn't trip on them. It's weird. It's a Bulls thing though.
It is a Bulls.
Are we gonna steal that and make it a Bears thing? I mean, I'm down for it.
Find your own thing, please. Like
it was weird that it was in it. I loved it because I was like, Caleb Williams.
I loved it for what the conversation. They were literally referencing Michael Jordan, but I don't want this to become this thing now. It's like Caleb Williams throws for 42,000 yards, and then all of a sudden it's like 42,000 is wild.
Hey, listen,
4,200 yards,
crown him.
42. Yeah, if he throws for 42,000 yards, yeah, play anything you want. Like Jordan, give him your rings. Let him just walk out. Let him just walk out with the rings on his finger. But yeah, man. I mean, listen, I think it was a great moment. Like I said, for the narrative aspect of that and how they used it, I think it was actually great. And we'll just see what comes from it. Like, Caleb, go out and have a great rookie season, my boy.
That's the goal, man. That's the goal. I'm very excited about this young man. He looks really good. He looks really exciting. Offense didn't look great today, but hopefully we see some.
How much of what we can't turn this into a Bears podcast? It'd be the best Bears podcast on Locked On. Go ahead, brother.
Oh, not the shot. Foul. Follow us on everything at Locked On Bulls. You can follow me on everything at Pat the Designer. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love.
You guys can follow me at CEO Haize. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Locked On Bulls is free and available on every podcasting app and platform of your choosing. YouTube, every podcasting app, YouTube, Fire TV, all that good stuff. Follow us there. I don't know. I'm tired. Peace, y'all. Love you guys.
Peace.
I'm tired.
Alan Parsons.